Welcome to Dream Meanings, the video series where I share with you the secrets of how I interpret my own wacky, wild dreams. Hi, my name is Carl Johann Schroeder. I'm a spiritual life coach who has been working with my night dreams for over 35 years. Now, dreams can be incredibly interesting, exciting, and valuable. Your dreams are trying to tell you exactly what to do to be happy, healthy, wealthy, and wise in every area of your life, including relationships, career, and personal destiny. Let me show you what I mean. Today's example dream is called Goblins versus Star Trek Tibetans.
Oh, wow.
Now, I woke up from this dream just last week. And as you may tell from the dramatic title, it is not your average everyday dream about awkward exes, forgotten homework, or being naked at the office.
Oh, yeah!
No, this is an epic cinematic dream full of powerful archetypes.
Wow!
When you get a dream like this, it is important to understand what it is trying to tell you. Big fantasy dreams are certainly entertaining and have inspired many artists and storytellers. But beyond the entertainment value, there's bound to be a personal spiritual message that could change your life. So relax now while I tell you my dream. Imagine that you're seeing it all. So you can ask yourself, if this were my dream, what do I think this means? There are no right or wrong answers, just what a dream means to you. So then I will tell you how I interpreted the dream, and you can compare to get more ideas on how to understand your own dreams. Goblins versus Star Trek Tibetans. From above, I see a large, flat, open landscape. An army of goblins approaches from the left. The Tibetans, who live further to the right, see the goblins coming, so they assemble their army to come meet them. When the Tibetans arrive, the goblins are gone. They hope the goblins have given up. But then, a Tibetan Eagle Eye scout says, "I see them coming with reinforcements. There's 100,000 of them." Captain Picard from Star Trek Next Generation is leading the Tibetans, who only number a few hundred. Picard says, "We're toast now. Everyone, fight to the death." The first shots are fired from a Tibetan wizard I see closest to me. He is short, round, in a white robe. He holds his arms out to the side and pushes forward with grim determination, launching white lightning bolts from his hands into the air toward the goblins in the distance. Other wizards join in and the battle begins. Everyone expects any minute to be overwhelmed by thousands of arrows from the goblins. But suddenly, a big college university that looks like a castle appears in front of the Tibetans to stop the goblins. The Tibetans are now led by Captain Janeway and a female assistant. Janeway is the female captain who came after Picard. The two women go inside the castle to a mediation room to meet with the Goblin King. This room is directly above the big castle entrance. Captain Janeway says to the Goblin King, "You cannot win now with the university here." The Goblin King says, "You are wrong. We have infiltrated the college, and we will now kill you all." Janeway cleverly keeps talking to buy time while she and her assistant slide out of the castle on a tapestry. The Goblin King doesn't notice because he's busy with something and just listening. When our heroes reach the ground, Janeway calls out to the goblins, "You are defeated now because we can collapse the university with all of your troops inside." The Goblin King realizes they are trapped and have lost. So, the first thing I did after I recorded the dream, because you need to have some means of recording a dream next to your bedside, so your subconscious, unconscious mind know they're ready to get a dream. So I recorded it on an audio recorder, or you can write it down. I like audio, it's very quick in the night. So I record it, and then I think, how do I feel? This is important to get the emotional tone of a dream, because a dream downloads from higher realms through your current thoughts and feelings. Well, I felt scared, upset, and threatened. My first reactions were fear. Does this dream mean I'm going to be under attack in my life? But that is very literal. And most dreams are actually a snapshot of your current mood, the current energies going on in your life. So it's good to remind yourself, Even though I may be upset or confused by this dream, there's probably a very helpful meaning here. I just need to get to it. So then I started stepping back, and I asked myself, what kind of dream is this? Now, I don't usually have dreams like this. It's a fantasy comic book style dream that something like a child would dream. So I think, aha, my childhood is involved. And indeed, when I was a child, I really enjoyed fantasy, D&D, science fiction, and especially I enjoyed Star Trek. I often dreamt of piloting a craft like Captain Kirk and going to new worlds and exploring. So then I consider more than just a childhood dream. This is very archetypal. It's good versus evil. It's Armageddon. So this is Armageddon is in the book of Revelations in the New Testament of the Bible. It's in Islam too. And the idea is a great end of the world, end of all time battle between good and evil. And it's based on the word Megiddo, which is a mound in northern Israel that's the site of many ancient big battles. So with this kind of archetypal dream, I have to consider that this is taking place on the mental plane. Now, what do I mean? There are actually 4 levels of human experience. There's the physical level that we're all very familiar with, right? And then there's the emotional level. That's the world of our emotions. And few people realize it's actually an entire world in itself. It surrounds the physical and interpenetrates it. Now, the emotional world, emotional realm, emotional plane is also known as the astral plane. And it is, in fact, where most dreams occur at night. Our mind disconnects from our physical body and we enter the astral realm, even if we remain within the confines of our body. Now, the mental plane, I should mention that the astral plane is actually where the afterlife is also located. So this is why you can have amazing dreams. You know, if you go further from your own energy field, you can have amazing dreams of exploring other worlds, exploring the afterlife, meeting famous people who are spirits now dead. It's amazing what you can do in dreams. Now, the mental plane is above the emotional plane. And then above that is the spiritual plane. The mental plane is where thoughts, plans, and ideas reside, belief systems, which are your favorite thoughts that you've held on to for a long time. Now, the mental plane is where gods and goddesses and great archetypal figures live. I mean, it's a real place. People have used, of course, the mental plane just to develop technologies and conquer nature and create all kinds of problems in the physical world. But the mental plane is actually where people go when they get into big religious feelings and they meet archetypal characters and they meet gods and goddesses. All of the new comic book movies, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that's all happening in the mental plane. Now, the mental plane is characterized by superpowers. It's a place that's beyond fear. Fear is an emotion that's limited to the astral plane. I mean, the astral, the emotional plane, that's where all of our emotions are. So we're living from there every day. We are very vibrational beings. The mental plane is higher. You don't have fear in the same way in the mental plane, just like in comic book movies. Everyone's fearless, right? They're just running around, but they're very angry and they're full of revenge. See, the mental plane, that's where the ancient gods and goddesses reside. And indeed, aren't they very jealous? They're always having battles. They're always fighting for territory. You see, above the mental plane, that's when you get into the spiritual plane. That's where your higher values and inspirations reside. That's where you can connect with the higher realms, with your soul, with God, Goddess, all that is, with the source. So if you get stuck in just the mental plane, you're going to have a life full of these grandiose, archetypal, kind of good versus evil thoughts. And you're going to be in battles a lot, which is what my dream was about. Aha. So let's get into understanding, looking more at the details of the dream. We got a flat, open landscape. That's good. It means nothing is hidden. It's all out in the open. There are goblins coming from the left. That's obviously the malevolent side, the side of evil. Goblins, I think of gobbling things up, like insatiability of negativity. So the left side is normally the side of receiving, of receiving from your soul and from the spiritual world. And then the right side is usually, I mean, this symbolism can be switched, but usually the right side is then the side of willful action, personal decisions. So I've got goblins coming from the left side. I am not connected with my spiritual world. I am experiencing archetypal Armageddon-style conflict from the mental plane. On the right, we've got Tibetans. So they represent a spiritual community. And in fact, I know I have a past life or more than one in Tibet. So the Tibetans represent the wisdom, the goodness of humanity. So definitely a big good versus evil. Now the Tibetans assemble their response to the threat of the goblins. So I'm assembling my spiritual response in this dream to a sense of threat. And the threat is gone by the time the Tibetans arrive. But there's an eagle-eyed scout who says, I can see they're coming with 100,000 reinforcements. Now let's decode this a bit. Eagle-eyed scout. It makes me think of Boy Scouts and Eagle Scouts. Yes, I was a Boy Scout. We're coming up with teenage fears here. And indeed, teenage years are where you move from childhood, the fantasy, the imagination of all the things that you'll do someday, and it's very fun. The teenage years are where the rubber meets the road. You grow up and it's scary. It's like, am I going to make it in that world? 100,000. Sounds like a big number. But understand number symbolism in dreams. It's really the digit that's important. And then the number of zeros emphasize the how much energy is behind it. So 100,000, it's just one issue. It's a single issue of how to deal with negativity, the good versus evil. And then the 5 zeros, well, 5 is a number of spiritual lessons and mastery. It's the 5 of the Leonardo da Vinci man with the 2 arms above, the 2 legs down, and then the head is the 5th. It's the head that rules the upper and the lower worlds. So 5, a number of a lesson, a mastery. I've learned how to conquer good and evil. I should know how to do this. But we've got this male authority figure, Captain Picard. Now it's interesting that he's not Captain Kirk, the captain that I grew up with, but Captain Picard, I watched those episodes a lot in college, in my teen years. So again, the teen sense of confrontation. And Captain Picard, he's more dignified than Captain Kirk, who was always like, full of macho, running into battle or sex or whatever, right? So Captain Picard, he's more dignified. He's a full actor from England, Shakespearean actor. So, but still, the fatherly figure represents the way things have been done. The masculine is the action, the way things have been done. So traditionally, the way things have been done is the confrontation. And Picard says, okay, everybody, we're toast. Let's fight to the death. Now, what an interesting phrase, we're toast. This really stood out to me. What the heck is this about? It's like toast should be a nice thing, right? It's bread, and then it's lightly toasted. It makes it yummy for a sandwich. Where does this phrase, we're toast, comes from? Well, we're going to get into that in a minute. Let's think now about what happens next, the wizard. The wizard, he's the character closest to me. So he's me. I'm identifying with him. He's a side of me. He's in a white robe, so he's spiritual, pure spiritual. Now, but he's short, which makes me think of like less powerful, short-tempered, short-sighted. And he's round. He's very fat, large, which makes me think of a character who's been overused, something that's grown too big. So maybe my defensiveness, my sense of like, let's attack, has been overused. He pushes lightning from his hands. Hands are your personal craft. My craft is writing. I love to write. And the way that I have dealt with negativity in my life is I write and think a lot. And when I was younger, I would be very judgmental. As I got older, I focused more on making what I call position statements, just working out my truth and not so much attacking the other person, just writing out my truth. And if it seems appropriate, tell the other person, here's what I think. But then, if it's really a conflict, then they're going to attack me for it. So sometimes I just keep my truth to myself. So this is how I've been learning to deal with negativity. Use it to define more of my truth. And indeed, this is a great spiritual practice. This is what teachers like Abraham Hicks talks about. Get used to the world having contrast in it, but be connected with your inner truth, your inner being, your soul, so that every situation you can enjoy having your response. and you come out with more of your truth, more of your real values, more of your spirituality that comes from the spiritual plane beyond the mental plane of all these Armageddon archetypal battles. So we've got the wizard. He's launching these wild lightning bolts, white lightning. Back to this idea of we're toast. I was like, so this is a great example of it can be very useful to look up things from your dreams because you never know. You can connect with the collective unconscious. You may have picked up some really interesting things that you never heard of in your waking life or even subconsciously. I had never heard of this. You know, where the expression we're toast, you're toast, it means, you're completely dead. You're a goner. It's actually very modern. And it comes from a single source, the Ghostbusters movie from 1985. It's an ad-libbed line by Bill Murray. You remember in Ghostbusters, incredibly popular movie, they have this real cavalier attitude of like, we are going to defeat evil. Pretty cool for an Armageddon scene, right? We're going to defeat, and they have these ectoplasmic ray guns which shoot out these wild bursts of white lightning, exactly like in my dream. I had no idea. The reason why this phrase, we're toast, comes from the movie is, now the original script was written by Bill Murray and co-star Harold Ramis in 1983. And the line where they're confronting the demon, he's supposed to say, okay, that's it. I'm going to turn this guy into toast, with the ray gun. But when it came to actually filming the movie, they had a female demon, and Bill Murray just says, this chick is toast.
This chick is toast.
Now, that's an interesting figure of speech. It's not just saying I'm going to do something. You are it already. It's a linguistic form called proleptic. It's a form of speech in which you are emphasizing the final outcome by saying as if it's already here. So we've got this tone of confidence against negativity. And this expression I had no idea came from this movie Ghostbusters, which I loved, many people loved. So it's really giving me an unconscious boost of confidence. You can defeat negativity. Now, I'm afraid that we're going to be overwhelmed with thousands of arrows from the goblins. And it doesn't happen. But I woke up with that fear. That was what I felt. The fear of the thousands of arrows are going to hit me. But the dream went on, didn't it? Very interesting what happens next. A college castle appears between the Tibetans and the goblins. Now, a college is one school of a university. University, the universe. The universe has a lesson for me, how to defeat negativity. And the lesson is given by a new female captain. This is like the feminine, the goddess energy coming in to make all things new. And the female captain, Janeway, she has an assistant. That's me. Just like the Tibetan wizard was the assistant of Captain Picard, the old way of doing things. So they go up into a mediation room with the Goblin King. And Janeway says, there's no way you can win now that the college university is here. In other words, there's no way you can win now that Carl knows how to work with the universe, to bring up his values, to make position statements, to not have to endlessly judge and fight people and things that he disagrees with. And the Goblin King, my negativity, whatever residual negativity there is, it says, aha, we have infiltrated this college. We will kill you all. Now, you see, this is very significant because what negativity is, it is simply people not knowing how to handle thoughts that aren't good for them. It's as simple as that. You are a conscious free will being who is learning to choose the thoughts and beliefs that work well for you, that are good for you, and let go the ones that aren't good for you. And this reality that we're in, this shared reality, this collective unconscious, that's what it is. It's like a shopping mall, I like to think of it, or a shopping catalog. There are all these possibilities. You need to find the ones that work for you. So the negative ego is really, it's when people have thoughts that aren't good for them, and rather than standing up for themselves and saying, I don't like that thought, I don't believe that, I don't believe the universe is a bad place, I don't believe I'm a bad person, I don't believe everybody's out to get me, instead I believe this. You need to take charge in life. You need to reframe your reality, your life experience. If you don't do that, what happens is law of attraction. Abraham Hicks talks about this. Thoughts accumulate. They attract more thoughts like them. So if you hold on, like a pebble in your shoe, you hold on to something that's hurting you, it's going to attract more and more. And before you know it, if a person doesn't take charge of their ability to choose thoughts, they start personifying, like, who's behind this all? Who's doing this to me? People invent the devil. People invent good versus evil. It doesn't have to be that way. It can be as simple as you excitedly, joyfully defining your values in the face of some things you agree with, some things you don't agree with. So the Goblin King is trying to intimidate me and saying, I've taken over all the lessons. I've taken over the college. I will tell you what everything means in your life. You can't win. We're going to kill you. Well, Captain Janeway and her assistant, they keep talking, which suggests that, I can keep writing. I can keep thinking what I'm thinking. But they slide out of the castle on a tapestry, a medieval tapestry. Now, medieval tapestries, they were the biggest, grandest, most expensive way to show a tableau, to show an epic scene. They were a real status symbol. So a tapestry, it's a tapestry of life. It's like the bigger picture, the bigger story. So I can slide away from negativity, confrontation, by getting the bigger picture, by getting the bigger story. And why this castle? Why this medieval tapestry anyway? Because I already know that I have a medieval lifetime which was very into good and evil and fighting the devil, and wrote a lot of theology that was very confrontative. Now, she had a lot of wisdom, but she was also like a very conflicted, tormented person many times in her life. So we've got a lesson going back many lifetimes and, 1,000 years or so, how to say no to negativity. So I follow my soul, this goddess figure, this wisdom figure, sliding out on the tapestry. And then she says, this goddess, this Sophia, this wisdom character, can then say to the goblin, we will collapse the college on you. We will collapse the lesson on you. In other words, the lesson for me is to withdraw my energy from the conflict. Get the lesson, understand the universe's lesson for me, and just withdraw my energy from the conflict. And then it will all collapse. And the Goblin King is defeated, and he knows it. So, standing back now, this has been quite a dream. This is really validating and identifying how it is I can work with defeating negativity. So, something I wanted to point out too is that notice that the two sides are never seen together. The goblins march up, then the Tibetans march up. Then the goblins are only seen in the distance. They are feared and they're expected, but they never seen. It's kind of like Superman and Clark Kent, or like Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Why do you never see them in the same room? Maybe they're the same person. See, two sides of myself. Now, I'm not saying that the world isn't full of dangers. There are definitely dangers. But when you learn the lessons and you take it within, the final conquest of good and evil is done within yourself, between sides of yourself, wrestling the demons, and then you're safe with yourself. You can just let it go. So I'm not saying like you run out into the world and pretend like all the dangers are gone. No, there are a lot of people who are playing out good and evil and mental plane archetypes, and they're definitely dangerous. But when you solve something, resolve something within yourself, it's done forever. So let's get back to what's happening in my real life. That very day that I had this dream, I had this momentum, this urge to argue with two people on Facebook. There were two arguments that I had running from the week. And I mean, they were fairly civilized, but still, it was really annoying that these people just aren't getting what I'm saying. So I made one more missive, one more statement to each of them. And I was happy with my statement. And kind of as expected, neither person appreciated what I said, got it, just continued to argue, say the same thing they did. Now, what's interesting is normally when I do this, when I speak my truth, I feel really good. But this day, I didn't. It's like diminishing returns. I didn't get any more mileage out of stating my, grinding my axe or stating my favorite position. Instead, I actually felt very disconnected, lost, uncentered. It was terrible. I was like, I don't understand. I've spent my whole life refining my identity, expressing and finding my truth in the face of conflict and opposition, and it didn't work today. And then I thought, I did have that big dream. Maybe it's time to just totally withdraw from conflict, from argument, be happy with my truth, and go work on my own projects. So that's what I did. I had some projects to work on. I went and worked on one, and I felt better. And then I went and I worked more on the book I'm writing, and I felt euphoric. Oh my God, I can't tell you how great it felt. I could feel my soul and the spiritual world right there writing my book with me. I was just giggling. I was so happy. And what I wrote about, I kind of shifted focus and I wrote more about love. Just what is love? How important and how powerful it is in the universe. I was very happy with what I wrote. So that was it. I conquered good and evil in this Armageddon dream. And I was willing to learn the lessons of the day, backed up, encouraged by my dream. I understood much of it, and I understood more in the coming days to kind of seal the deal. But yeah, this was amazing. So I want you to understand how incredibly powerful some of your dreams may be. You may want to take it, and you may take it at first as entertaining, as exciting, but dig deeper. There could be something really powerful there for you. So I hope this has helped you. A little long. I'm going to do a whole series of these, and some will be quite short, but of course this was a big, powerful dream that I really wanted you to understand. And my specialty really is understanding the spiritual evolution, the spiritual growth behind dreams. That's how my strength for interpreting dreams, I believe. So I hope this has helped you, give some more ideas, some more excitement, to be prepared in the evening, have some way of recording your dreams, and wake up in the morning and just work with whatever you got. Don't worry. So if you like this, please subscribe. YouTube has a bell you can hit that you'll get notifications when a new one comes out. And I look forward to continuing this Dream Meanings series. Thank you.
Quack, 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 quack.